Welcome to the next installment in my video lecture series for international economics. And in this particular video lecture, I'm going to be taking a look at the importance of having an established advantage, i.e. that a country is the first entrant or an established country in producing a particular market for not the market, but a particular item for the world, and how this established advantage or being a first entrant could prevent countries that even have a cost advantage from selling that particular product in the world. So the example from the textbook shows the world market for buttons. On the x-axis, we have the quantity of buttons in the world. And on the y-axis, we have price and cost. So we're looking at price and cost on the y-axis. And here we have this is the average cost curve for China in the production of buttons. We highlight them both. All right. And sometimes we can take a look at this. And remember, we started saying that there are external economies of scale in this particular market. And when you have external economies of scale, the average cost curve is downward sloping. That is decreasing. Average costs are decreasing as quantity increases. Excuse me. So this makes it look as if it is that we have a downward sloping average cost curve, which means we can alternately look at this as a forward falling supply curve. So we can utilize this average cost curve as a supply curve. And when we have the intersection of the average cost curve with demand, that will give us the price in the world right there. And it will give us the quantity in the world. So this is the same as looking at any supply and demand analysis, except that we have a forward falling supply curve. We're using average cost as the supply curve here. So where these two intersect is going to give us the equilibrium price, the average cost, and the quantity in the marketplace, in the world marketplace. Let's assume that there's another country that can produce buttons and that they are more efficient at producing buttons. So I'm just going to copy and let me disconnect these lines. We detach that. Let's see if that helps. There we go. And let's say here is another country's average cost. So their average cost of production is less than China. And let me change this, and I believe your book has it as Vietnam as the other country. So you can see here that the average cost of production in Vietnam is less than the average cost of production in China. So the Vietnamese are actually more efficient at producing buttons than the Chinese are. Even though that they are more efficient, it may be possible that they will not be able to enter this marketplace, and that the fact that China is already established could preclude them from entering the marketplace, even though they are more efficient. If we take a look at this, what you really need to take a look at is, what was the price if China is the entrant, or China is the original country that's producing buttons? We get an equilibrium price and cost, that was P1, and we have a quantity that's equal to Q1. The issue here is that if you take a look at the average cost of Vietnam, their average cost of production at the beginning stages of production is greater than the price and the average cost of China. So therefore, at those initial levels, they cannot compete against China in the production of buttons. That their cost of production will be greater than the world price, and they will lose money in producing those buttons. So the fact that China is the first, I don't want to say first entrant, but they have an established advantage, that they've already been selling buttons in the world market, it is quite possible that even if another country, here Vietnam, is more efficient at producing, i.e. its average costs are lower than China, they may not sell buttons in the world because as China has already established themselves as selling buttons in the world market, the Vietnamese at these beginning levels of production, you could see here along this line, the average cost curve. Average cost at the initial stages is going to be greater than the price in the marketplace. So as they start up, these firms in Vietnam will actually be losing money, and they may not enter the market for buttons in the world because of the fact that at these initial stages of output, they are going to be losing money.